Outer Orange.
So we're going to be breaking down set 7. So right now we are a couple days away from set 7, so I thought it'd be a good time to talk about set 7. So this is set 7 and on. So it's every single ride line from set 1 to set 7. And where the meta will stand, sort of like what to bring, what's playable, what's not playable. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just set 7. FYI, Curly created this one. Thank you, Curly Haired Hero. I actually didn't know. I was just like, I wonder who created this. So I was like, oh, it's Curly.
OuterOrange has come to interrupt you because you need to go to zerodamage.com right now and get yourself a playmat. That's right. You gotta get yourself one of these. You gotta get. Christmas is around the corner. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go to zerodamagegaming.com. Get yourself a playmat. These are limited time playmats. Get yourself one while you can. The offer ends starting next year. Get yourself a playmat. Code Orange. zerodamagegaming.com. While you're at it, do not forget about 50cards.shop. And get yourself some cards too, because you may need those as well. How are you supposed to play on your playmat without some cards on top of the playmat? So do that as well. Code Orange for that as well. You guys know what to do. It's Christmas time. Youthburg is right around the corner. Other stuff's right around the corner. You need stuff, so go get it. Ciao. Meta's up here. Chat's blocking it, but it's okay. It's pretty obvious. It's just meta. And then we have A tier, which is just will top. So meaning it may not be like the best of the best deck, but it'll still show results. It'll still exist. And then we have can top, meaning that's B tier. That's like, it's a possibility that it could top, but it'll probably be worser than the will top ones. Like, okay, learners is pretty much the average tier, where I don't know where to put. If I don't know where to put something, it'll probably go in there. Or it'll be like, it's just right in the blank middle, where it's not too great and not too terrible. And then we have playable, so meaning the deck is playable, but it's popular. So it's popular, playable, but it's not that great. Will probably not top. We have niche and playable, which means they're unknown decks that people don't really talk about too much, but they're playable decks. And then last but not least, we have niche and unplayable, which means they're not very popular and they also suck ass. So that's kind of the breakdown. I changed it a little bit this time. You know, in the past we've done pretty much C, A, B, whatever, and then, you know, I did all my stupid silly meme stuff. This time I want to take it from a different perspective, because I feel like there's just so many ride lines and kind of a good bit of diversity around like all the decks, that it's kind of weird to just say what exactly is meta when there's a bunch of decks that can still top, even if we have like 1 or 2 specific decks that are kind of like the bosses. So that's why I changed it up a little bit and made it sort of like this. There's a bunch of ride lines down here. I'm not gonna be able to, like I said, I'm not gonna be able to give you like literally every single information. I haven't tested into every single deck here, right? Like, obviously, but I'll give you the best of my knowledge that I can. And if there's really something I don't know, I'll probably throw it into niche and we'll just kind of go from there. So go ahead. We're gonna start with Buff Sagra today. So Buff Sagra is honestly probably in the can top category, because she's not like terrible, but she's not like that amazing either. She's just kind of doing her thing. And then next we have actually Eugene. Eugene, I don't know how good his stuff is, but I'm going to say probably still unplayable. There's actually so little decks of this, it's kind of insane. It's insane how little people play. It's between this or this one. It might even be here, but I think it's so niche that it goes here. So it's kind of niche. You know, honestly, I think it's probably playable. We're gonna say it's playable. He's cool at least. I'll keep him in the playable category. I hear with the promo and with his new stuff with the restander, he's not too terrible. But to be honest, I have no idea. I still have my deck. You think it's playable? Throw it to playable. I'll trust, but niche. Okay, back to niche he goes. Back to the D tier. He's staying in D tier. So a long story short, Eugene got better cards, so the deck got better, right? But it's still for one factor, it's very unknown, and 2, it's just not that great. It's more on that casual kind of side. Next we have, I believe this is the new Mahar. So this is the new Mahar. I'm gonna say that this is probably in the playable category. It might even be just in the middle, just average. Next we have the other Mahar. This is our grade 4 boy. This will probably enter the can top category. I would not, it probably even will top category. It's between these two. It's not like it's definitely a topping deck, but I don't know with the new stuff how much it'll top. I think it's more on the can top category. Okay, you know what? We'll top. It is a very popular deck. People still take this deck. People still been topping with this deck up to set 6. 7 coming up might shift it a little bit. Dragonic Overlord, with the promo in mind. I don't know exactly when we're getting the promo in mind. If we get the promo, it's 100% will top. Actually, I would say this is one of the best will toppers with the promo specifically. With the promo, this deck is literally Youthburg different. It's just
just a different rehashment of Youthberg. They're both actually very similar decks. Let's go to Tamayura. Tamayura is 100% playable. I think until some of the new stuff drops in set 8, this deck will probably stay exactly the same. There's a small chance, a very small chance that this might see some results, but it's one of those things where like you got to get a little lucky to get there. So this is more on the playable side. I just think this deck bricks too much, so that's why we're sticker. Next we have Personified Bruce. This is Persona Bruce. Now Persona Bruce actually recently got Julian. I don't think they got too much else. But Persona Bruce is actually pretty strong, and I believe it's in the top category. I think it's stronger than Bob too. So Bruce with Julian and everything is actually pretty strong Persona version of him. So with that being said, I think he's in the top category. I think still having to wait a turn and still relying on going first is still pretty rough, and that way I don't want to put it here. But I think it's definitely a top contender. I actually think people are sleeping on Bruce a little bit right now. People have been playing like pretty much everything else, but Bruce is actually pretty strong. I think Bruce is a very good contender. Next we have Barrow Magnus. Now Barrow Magnus is kind of a weird one. I'm gonna put it in the top category. Now Barrow Magnus is a weird one. Barrow Magnus is a Hyrule deck, but it's also pretty consistent now with all the new stuff it's getting. It's getting the money thing, and then the one that gets the extra soul charging. You kind of have to wait longer, but you can still do a bunch of stuff. I can definitely see this topping. Barrow Magnus has been topping. It's just been so little compared to like set 4, set 5 meta, where it's topping a lot more. Barrow Magnus has always been just the same exact deck this whole time. It's just hit 15 soul if you're going first. It's even easier for you. You'll usually win the game with your hand being kind of weird, but it's Barrow Magnus is what I like to call a wild card deck, which means like you just kind of throw the wild card and just hope that things just go in your way, and if they do, you'll win, and if they don't, you won't win. And then healing also really matters. If Barrow Magnus heals a lot, they actually will probably win the game. It's very frustrating. So this deck is just frustrating, but I think it could top. I don't see it not topping. This is the other part of Overlord. We'll just it's just the same thing. These are the same things. So then we got Jejuled. Jejuled, I believe, can top. Now why? Part of the reason is because he's definitely niche and playable, but I think he has an ability to top, because so one thing is people aren't really testing into this, and that's kind of a problem, because you actually have to know how to fight this deck in order to beat it. If you don't know how to fight this deck, you'll actually probably lose, as it can multi-attack. It is a little piece reliant, so I think it might be the average deck right now. I have a feeling that this deck can and will top type of thing, but it will be more niche. Like I don't think people will see it coming if it does start topping. And the other thing is I'm not 100% sure like what it can counter. So that's why I think maybe average will be full average. It potentially can top, but not completely like in like casual side of things. So I think he can be in the average tier. Greedon. Now Greedon does not care about anything your opponent does. All he really cares about is himself. So Greedon is one of those decks where it just does its thing. I think it can top. Chaos. I think Chaos is more on the niche and unplayable side. Unfortunately, sorry Chaos. But even with the promo that they recently got, and maybe even with some new stuff coming out, this is more of a set 8. Chaos is like fun, I guess. Like I really want to like put him here, but honestly he's kind of here, and then honestly he's just kind of here. Like there's just so many better decks to take. Like it's unfortunate because the deck is so pretty and so cool and everything, but it's just too behind right now. Grade 4 Bruce I think is more in the average tier. I don't think Grade 4 Bruce is nearly as good as Grade 3 Bruce. Also, I just think this is way more OTK and clunky and all this kind of stuff than it also just runs out of steam faster. I actually wouldn't even say it's playable. I wouldn't even play it average. Tell it to Curly. I will. I'll tell that exact. Curly can watch this. This is his freaking thing. He can watch this himself. But yeah, this is definitely probably more on the playable side. It's kind of weak right now. Bastion kind of falls into the same category, and same with the Grade 4 Bastion. I would say both of these are just playable. Now, Darkstreet's coming back. We've got some other stuff coming back. This will probably become more towards the yeah, right? Yeah, you're like, oh wait, you weren't expecting that. Man got wrecked by Bruce both versions. That's unfortunate for him. Maybe he should get better at the game. Anyway, I'm so mean. I'm so mean. I'm just kidding. I'm friends with Curly. We just like to mess. I like to mess with it. But yeah, I think Bruce is better than Bastion. Actually, I would even say Mahar is probably the new Mahar, whatever this is, probably better than Bastion. I don't think Tamayori is better than Bastion though. I think Beguria is on. Beguria is so weird. I think she's so average. I'm just throwing her an average. You guys can all just deal with it. I don't care if there hasn't even been results recently. She's just average. She is getting some new stuff coming out, but honestly, I think the deck's gonna stay average. I've been playing it at Deer Days, very bleh. It's like okay, it has like these random times where it can win, and then I don't know. There's just better. Just play better decks. Just play better decks. I don't know what to tell you. Hexorb is definitely niche and unplayable. She feels super niche. To be honest, she actually, you know, she's playable. She's niche and playable. Chaos is top 1. Trust. Oh, I'll trust. Since you're woke, I'll trust. There. Sorry, guys. I'm wrong. Perfect. This is the perfect tier list. This is. I'm gonna screenshot this and everything. There's clearly there's nothing better. Perfect. Yes. MOB is probably under the unplayable tier right now. It's supposed to be here, but I think with all the support we currently have and we're getting, I think it's sadly has to be here. It's sad. It is. It has its moments. It really does. That's why I really want to like put it up a notch. But I want to be brutal. I want to really take these cards and just throw them in your face and be like, don't. Just don't do it. But anyway, there's just way better Keter decks. Just like literally any other Keter deck is currently better than this one. Though this one does have the decent kind of stuff. I wish this was an 18k base. I think this deck would instantly be tiers better if it was an 18k base. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is niche and playable right now. I don't think it's that great. It was. It's that time has passed us now. 12 right on top. It's the same deck. It's the same one. They're both the same. It's just curly haired here. This guy right here decided that, hey, how about I throw every single Ride Light into a tier list? I'm so thankful he made this, but also, what is this, Curly? What is this crap? This is the... Curly, what is this? Curly, what is this? Curly! God damn it, Curly. Youthberg! Alright, Youthberg is kind of the obvious one. He is definitely meta right now. If I'm gonna be real with y'all, if I'm gonna be really real, it would probably be like this if it were me. I actually think these are very, very, very similar decks, and I might actually change that as the time goes on. But without the promo, it's really hard to see that right now for most players. But I think people are really underestimating how ridiculously strong. Also, something to keep in mind is now Youthberg may be like the quote unquote like keep in mind I've named it meta. I didn't necessarily name it like that doesn't mean that there isn't a deck that can't beat Youthberg. And actually, you'd be surprised. Is this NA or JP? This is NAs. We're about to get set 7, so we're revealing set 7. So, something to keep in mind. When Youthberg drops, don't think that the world has ended, that there's just no way to beat Youthberg. That is entirely untrue. Playtesting a lot of Youthberg recently, and I kind of, when I was going into it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose every game. This is going to be the worst testing of my life, and lo and behold, that was not the case. At all. The deck is strong, but it's actually not like it's not that far away from the bar of will top, if that makes sense. So like it's a good consistent deck, but it doesn't mean the other decks can't beat it, nor does it mean the other decks are just so far behind that they can't keep up with it. So it's just something to keep in mind. Youthberg is not as insane as it may seem. It's definitely a good deck though, and that's why it's staying up here. So, but I want to let you guys know that this isn't set 1 or set 2 where Bruce and Bastion were the clear best decks and everything below it was like miles down. That is not the case in this current meta. When will Overlord get the promo? I don't know, man. Once it does, I'm telling you, these are interchangeable. I'm telling you, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the decks are not that far behind from what Youthberg does. It's just a very consistent deck, and the grade 1s are just really good. This is playable. I think this guy falls under the same category. I think this is probably even more on the niche side. Playable, but just more niche. Just well more unknown. I think this one might fall under this category too. And I think both of these decks are probably better than these 3. And maybe Hexa Warp could be like here. So I think that's probably better in the... Like, they're playable. They're just kind of unknown. No one's really touching them. There's a couple people here and there. Ava is definitely a will top deck right now, currently, with what we have and what set 7 is bringing us. What makes Nirvana A tier? I thought the new support was cross-dress. Nirvana is just still a really strong and oppressive deck. The ping is still really annoying. If they go first, they kind of just have a really good solid thing. It's still topping. I'm personally, if you were to like ask me every single day how I felt about Nirvana, I would constantly say it's pretty mid, but the results just keep coming up and I just can't ignore the results. Like the deck keeps topping. Ava will probably top. Her little binding mechanic's really good. She has a pretty good front of the grade 3s with the interceptors and all this stuff. I've recently been testing her. She can be pretty oppressive sometimes. I feel like she just has an overall really good consistency in her deck. Like it's really hard to brick with her. She kind of does the same thing over and over again. There's nothing really stopping what she does. And we got the promo finally over here, and we actually seen the results even recently. Now it's at 7. She won't change too much, but I think her deck will still stay in a pretty good spot. And I think it contests into youth pretty well too, because even though it's a 3 attack deck, it's a 3 attack deck with crits on it. Sorry, 3 to 4 attack deck. I always say 3 attack deck because there's so many times where I ride up to Ava and I just don't have attackers and I cry. Or I don't have the CB for attackers, or something's always happening and I have to swing with one side and then call a grade 3 from deck with the other, and I have 3 attacks. But it's like a 4 attack deck. But anyway, because of the crit oppression, Tempest kind of CBs a lot, and most decks don't run a lot of CC and all that kind of stuff. So because of that, you can actually deny for a little bit, kind of slow the game down, force them to not do too much, and then win the game that way. So there's ways to actually play into Tempest, and that's actually another reason why this deck is up here. But anyway, so because the deck can play into Tempest, that's another reason why it's up here. Gravidia is not a bad deck. However, it doesn't actually beat Youthberg, which is very interesting. At least in the recent testing I've done, Gravidia really struggles, and I actually think Gravidia in a couple matchups really struggles. So I actually think this is in the can top category, but not in the will top category for multiple reasons. One, it's good, but it's not the best deck anymore. And 2, like I said, still a 3 attacking deck. And 3, it's not going to be as popular now, because before it was so popular because everyone was taking it because there's really not as many options. But now we also have youth as an option, so less people will be taking it. Space, she didn't like super fall off. She could still top, and she's still a good deck to take, and you can still auto win sometimes by just hitting the OT button, right? However, I think she is a okay deck. You can take her and you'll have some success here and there, but just keep in mind into youth, she's actually really rough into Youthberg. Youthberg, you'll usually win the matchup because Youthberg puts stuff into Soul. Youthberg keeps restanding the Vanguard. Youthberg doesn't really care about the retire. There's just all this other stuff. Like, it really is just a PG or a die deck, and Youthberg definitely doesn't care. And I think all these decks above it are better than it too. So I think your video is just in a good spot. But like I say, you can still take her, and you might have success in topping with her. And there probably will be tops, but it won't be as consistent as I think these decks will have. Or bottom A if you want, but it has a lot of counterplay. It really does. I think that's the biggest problem, is that people kind of figure out how to play the deck. Like, people just figure out how to play into it more. 2, there's just a bunch of the blitz orders kind of help now. There's ways to search them out. And actually, guys, keep in mind, Overlord directly searches for grade 1. And with the pro, again, like, I just think at least in terms of the decks above her, I just think are better choices. Orphist. Now, Orphist is a weird one. Orphist is like, I guess, like, probably gonna be my hot take here, but I actually think Orphist can top, but it's niche. It's a topping niche deck. Strangely enough, the deck into youth is actually really good because it's just so oppressive. It's so it just keeps going and going and going, and it's just so it's a little more peace reliant, but it's so oppressive. So I actually think this deck can top. I want to, like, the thing about it is not many people are going to bring this deck. People are going to just be like, it's bad. It's bad, I'm not going to take it. But the actuality is that it's actually really good. And the new grade 3 they got is also really good. The deck it's not going to change too much in the upcoming set, but it doesn't mean that the deck is going to stay bad. Like, you will have 5 attacks on first ride. After that, your numbers just get bigger and bigger. Deck can survive pretty well. That's just my personal take on it. And it's probably like my hot take of the month. I don't know. But the more I play this deck, the more I'm like, wow, this is like stupidly strong. Like, I gave it to my friend. It was like his first time playing the deck, and he lost 1 game because he got OT'd on. He won every single game after that. And it wasn't set 7 stuff, it was set 6 stuff, but still, like. Now, next we have is Seraph Snow. Seraph Snow's kind of weird. I really kind of am always surprised to see the deck keeps topping, and I'm always like, I don't know. I just don't fully get it. I don't know why. I feel like we're at the point, we're at the Gravidia level of you should know how the deck functions, so you should know how to play into it. But hey, it keeps topping. I do think this is a can topper. along with, you know, her version. Some people do run the Persona build, like where they run some Personas, but they start on the grade 4. But anyway, I think she can top. I think she's good. I don't want to throw it into here, but I feel like people are just like, but topping, but results. Flagberg is a can topper. Flagberg into Youthberg is actually also a solid pick if they can like early steamroll really fast. If Flagberg can close out the game, it'll close out the game and win. Keep in mind, actually, I'm gonna put it a little bit higher. I'm gonna say it's here actually. I'm gonna say it's right here. We did just get more support, and actually, I don't think the deck is fully solved yet. I think there's a lot of room for playing around with the grade 2 that's dropping, with the grade 1 that's dropping, a couple other stuff. I think the deck can definitely top. To me personally, I might be a little biased. I might even say it will top. Well, I'm not 100% on that because it is starting to lose a little popularity. People are deciding between the promo and the grade 2 and like all this other stuff, right? There's a lot of decision making, rather to run orders, rather not to run orders. I don't think this deck is fully solved yet, so I actually don't know exactly where to put it. Doesn't the bind from Ava hurt a lot? No. So the reason being is we have a Sense Assault, we have the new grade 2 girl, the Soul Blast restance, we have Inlet, which will go into Soul anyway, and then we also have the promo as an option, and then we have our grade 1s and stuff like that. A once per turn bind will not hurt that badly. You'll lose a rear guard, but it's okay. Like you'll lose your Sense Assault, but it's okay. You have like 3 or 4 other options that can also restance. So it's not a big deal. I think as long as you play correctly, like you play carefully in that matchup, you should be fine. Leonor is definitely here. I'm sorry. I don't know about y'all, but she's pretty. And if you're really into casual and pretty and all that kind of stuff, by all means, that we're in no way saying like she's definitely like here or here. I personally haven't tried this deck, but she just feels I've seen play of her, and she just feels really bad. She feels really bad. I think just all this stuff up here is just way better. Bottom decking, retire, multi-attack, all bind, all this stuff up here is just way better. She might be here, to be honest with y'all. I'm not like super on this deck, but I think she relies too much on her rear guards existing. I think that's a problem. Now guys, keep in mind we do not have the restriction that Japan is getting, so for the Dark Strain. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because of this. So we have the Magnolia stuff. There's a Persona version now and a grade 4 version, and we're actually getting new stuff in set 7 that'll make a Persona. I think this deck is still playable. It might even be kind of average for at least the grade 3 version. I think it's pretty average probably, but if we did, the grade 4 version will be in the can-top category, and the grade 3 version will probably stay in the same category. But currently, so we don't have the restriction yet. We haven't been told yet. I think these are just average decks right now. They're not terrible. They can kind of win sometimes. They're a little bit better than just playable. Baroa is definitely somewhere around here. I haven't tested with the new stuff. Actually, fun fact, I just bought the grade 3. I bought the grade 3. It's the only thing that was missing from the deck. And then I also have Token Girl. You guys know how I feel about Token Girl. Token Girl. So recently, the new promo came out for Aurora. And then on top, yeah, we got the Idol Order coming. And then we also got the Token Girl. So I haven't tried it yet, so to be honest with you guys, I don't know where to put this deck. I'm gonna say it's niche and playable. I still have a feeling it's probably better than these 3. It's probably nothing crazy, but I can guess it's better. I don't think it can handle the retire. It has a similar issue to Leonor, where it kind of requires its rear guards to exist to do stuff. Now Zorga is honestly a weird one. If you guys remember, because I remember, because you know, Zorga fanatic, surprise. Zorga lover. So in Japan, Zorga has been topping, and nothing crazy. And like I said, some of these other decks have also fallen under that, but it has been showing some results. I think red and blue have been showing results. I know, crazy. Me like Zorga? Never. Not me. Funnily enough, some of the testing I've done has been pretty good into decks like Youthberg, but I still think a 3-attack deck, it's still a 3-attack deck. And I think that's its biggest setback right now. It has all this good stuff it does, and then all this bad stuff it does. So I'm going to put it in average. I'm going to say it's average right now. I'm going to say it's better than Magnolia. And I think it beats S tier. Must be, it can. I think you need a little luck. The decks I like and you're interested in are all below C. I'm so sorry for you and your loved ones. But I still think there are just some games where that 3 attacks, they just really hurt. Sometimes you just deck out. Like, you don't even just lose, you just deck out. And I think that's just a problem. You're welcome. I think that's just still a problem. And by the way, this is coming from someone who's been very aggressively testing this deck recently. like a lot. I've been testing this deck a lot, and I love this deck. This is my favorite deck out of every single deck at D right now, and it will probably stay like that for forever and ever. But I have to be critical, and I have to be not biased. I have to be very specific to it. It still has its problems, and that's just the reality of it. And I know we've been seeing results, but it doesn't mean that deck is like top tier. It still has problems, but I think they're both really good. They're both very good into meta, and that's another thing. I think depending on how you build it, it also changes how the deck functions. As you guys saw, I've recently been messing around with the Token Girl, something that hasn't really been discussed. I haven't seen anyone run this card at all in their Zorga deck, and then that's something that is a game changer because it does go around Youthberg. You don't really need to do it to go around Youthberg bomb decking your dragons isn't the end of the world. However, it helps, and just having this like random setup or things you can do makes the deck more interesting. I feel like Zorga is just another deck that's just not fully solved, and because it's not fully solved, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly where it is on the scale. But the red one is. The red one's pretty easy to put somewhere specific, but the blue one is really hard to pinpoint. I feel red one is a little bit more solid. Blue one is kind of in the air, so I don't know. It's just that's why I'm playing in the middle. I don't really know exactly where this deck should be, and I think that's fine. Average isn't a bad place to be. Always Steel is definitely niche and unplayable right now. It's another 3-attack deck, but it's way freaking worse right now. It's been getting no support whatsoever. We don't even know the next time it's going to get support, which is very unfortunate because it's such a pretty deck. So she will definitely stay in the niche and unplayable category. I think if you're gonna play a deck like this, you might as well play Hexo Orb, because Hexo Orb is very similar to this deck in terms of the pressure it applies, but just a little different. But the difference is that this deck has been getting some support and this deck has not. Yeah, it has the back row attack. It's just so bad though. It's a 10k. I mean, we're still gonna keep her here. We're still gonna even that she still stays here. You do have a back row attacker. It's not enough though. It's very piece reliant. It's not enough. That is true. I forgot about that card. It's been so long. It's been like almost a year since she's gotten support. Anyway, Clarissa probably falls into the same category though. Some people actually think Clarissa's pretty strong, so maybe we'll put her into playable. We'll probably put her. I mean, she's pretty consistent, I'd say. She got a grade 1. Her recent support hasn't really been that great, but I think she can be playable. I think she's more playable than, you know, our girl over here, but I don't know. D at the most. All right, you know, I believe it. You play with these decks more than I do. We'll put her in D. LT I think falls under this. She might be even unplayable at this point. I don't know. This is probably niche and playable as well. You know, it got a little bit of support this set. It's actually not too terrible. It might even be playable, but I feel like it's just F. No, it's niche. It's niche. Kyrie is probably on the playable scale right now. She is getting a promo. Recently got a couple decent cards, you know, still a card grade turn 4 deck. I think what she does, a lot of these decks up here just do more at this point. I think a lot of decks have caught up to Kyrie, and because they've all caught up to Kyrie, I just think this deck is like super playable right now and not much else. I would not see a reason to play this. I don't know about y'all, but I say no. We can stick our grade 3 version in as well, because you actually can build these decks separately if you really want to. There is definitely room for them to be different, but I think it's just playable, decent, fun deck. Leonor, not Leonor, sorry. Loner, she probably will be here. Actually, no, she's not really niche. She's just playable. I think she's just playable. Just another decent deck. You have like this. I think that what really killed this deck is actually the Blitz Order. Ever since that dropped, this deck had got so much worse. I want to say the same thing for Flagberg, but Flagberg has been the better deck anyway. But ever since the Blitz Order dropped, this deck has really fallen off, and it'll stay like that probably for a while until they give direct support to her, change something. Fortia. Now, Fortia is an interesting one. So Fortia, another deck that has been showing results, but another deck that's kind of niche. But honestly, the new stuff's actually kind of good. I haven't tested her into Youthberg, and honestly that's kind of where I start kind of priority, because the matchup you're gonna see the most is probably gonna be Youthberg, Ava, and Overlord, right? Like those are like, and like maybe like your Vidya and Flagberg, like that's just, you know, it's what's popular, right? So you're gonna see those matchups a lot, so you have to fight into those matchups. And I don't know how well Fortia goes into Youth. I know Fortia into Overlord isn't too bad, it's Ava, it's not too bad, to Vidya it's not too bad, to Flagberg it's not bad, but I have no idea how she is into Youth. My inner Fortia that's been playing Fortia a lot recently really wants to put her in Ken top. I think I'm gonna put her in average for now. I think she can just stay right here. I think her early aggression is very insane, but because I haven't tested her enough, I think she could stay in the safe tier. Yeah, I think she can stay in the safe tier for now. I will say though, and I'm gonna say this right now, I think this deck has definitely potential to top, but she's just so niche that nobody plays her. Ballista is definitely unplayable and super niche. She is the worst of the unplayable scale right now. She is just really bad. All the token decks can probably join this. I haven't tested these, but there has been literally no support for them, so there's no way that they can get better. So they're all gonna go in the niche and unplayable category. Record of Ragnarok can happily join this area as well. I'm so sorry, all you Record of Ragnarok fans. This is the only deck that might be playable. I think it's just this one. I think this one is average, and I think this one is Kentop. I think this deck's like, okay, for some reason this deck has had results over here in EN meta. I don't even know why. I face this deck and I'm like, okay. Oh, that's all you do? Oh, okay. I really did not care. However, this deck is kind of scary. I don't know if it's like a will top deck, but it's definitely a can top deck. I'm gonna throw all of these. What was the second one? Is it this one? You think this one's D? Okay. I'm gonna throw all the rest of these in here. Y'all cool with that? Y'all cool with that? Y'all Gucci with that? Because I don't know. I didn't try a single one of these decks. The only one I hard tested into was this one. And I kind of tested into this one. The testing. Oh yeah, there's more. There's more Shaman King decks. Are these all Shaman King? How many Shaman King decks are there? What is this? Lyrical Monasterio? Ian collab sets? Never again. Yeah, Ian collab sets. Woo! Look at all these strong contenders. First we have Bunny Girl. I think Bunny Girl is average. I think she's just average. She kind of has like this replacing rearguard thing going on. And maybe even playable. We'll put her in the playable tier. She's probably better than like these decks. I think she probably stops here. So Kyoko's one of those decks where she's unsolved as well. She kind of falls into like this weird spot. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I think there's potential for her to top, but it's like a niche thing, like Orphist, where it's like, you know, but the difference is that there would be way more people trying this than way more people trying this, to be honest with you. I think Kyoka is just super unpopular. There's also Michu and Leticia that will just dominate. And I think putting her here is in the average slot. She's just average. I think this is just the place to put her. And then next we have Giant Girl. Giant Girl is probably just niche and playable. We'll put the Mitradel, whatever her name is, under niche and playable as well. F. Alright, I trust you. Niche and unplayable. Goodness gracious. Unplayable it is. Does Medell, whatever her name is, fall into this category too? Because I personally haven't even tried the deck. I was gonna try it in Deer Days, actually. That was my next thing. No? Okay, this one can stay here? Okay. Alright, so let's talk about Leticia and Michu. I think both these decks are actually pretty strong. I'm actually going to go ahead and say that this is meta. I know it sounds crazy, but I think this deck into youth is really good. She's either here or here. And actually, if I were to put her, I think she'd be here. I think she'll be here. And Michu is more into can top category. Michu is probably here. She can top if she really wants to. Thank you, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Michu's like okay. I think we'll see more people try play Michu because she's kind of popular. Leticia is actually pretty good late game wise. You can actually stack your whole bottom and then win the game that way. She decks people out. You think Michu is better? You don't think Ava is with Burke? I think Ava might be with Burke, but I'm not too sure yet. I actually, if I'm gonna be real with you, I think it's kind of like this. If with the promo, I need to like emphasize this. With the promo, I think these two are really strong. We're just gonna get rid of this just so it's less confusing. Goodbye. Let me move this. Let me get that out of there. I just want to make the emphasis so people don't think like, oh, the deck's good. It's like, it's good with the, oh, this is weak. If this is weak, then yeah, I think this is a really strong contender. I think this deck's insane. This deck does so much for so little. And they both play almost exactly the same. I kid you freaking not. These are like the same deck. And I think actually this deck's way cheaper too. It's way cheaper for doing almost the same thing. It's just not as pretty. It's just not as pretty, that's all. So that's really good to know. I'm glad the promo's dropping. I think Michu is probably here somewhere, probably closer to the better side of the thing. She probably can top. I think recently I've been testing her, and I've been having a good time with her. I've been playing her into Youthberg. It's been fun. I've been playing her in other decks. It's been pretty okay. She's just not my favorite lyrical deck. I just prefer Portia right now. Personal preference. So that's just how it is. And then Leticia, I think Leticia contends really well into Youthberg, actually. Her early hand is kind of rough, but Youthberg doesn't really do much early game either. And I think in terms of late game, I think Leticia wins the late game. And because, like I said, you could just stack your bottom while deck thinning, while doing your thing. You don't care about them bomb decking your stuff at all. So I overall just think this deck has a pretty good matchup. And also, we've been seeing the results for it too. Like, it's been really strong. We'll put her here. How about that? Because I think all three of these are on a pretty similar playing field. How about that? I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty fair because I don't think Prison is better than these two, but sometimes these two struggle into Prison, but also these two could beat Prison. You know what I mean? So I think this works. I think this is more fair. Yeah, I think this is pretty accurate. Whoever asked on Twitter for this, here you go, by the way. I can't remember exactly who it was, but someone asked for this. So yeah, here you are. And FYI, I just want to make it known, this B tier here, it's a very light B. Well, what I mean by this is all these decks in B tier can probably give you results if you're really into them and don't feel like playing the top 5 or whatever you're in the mood for. The bar isn't that different. Like the bar isn't like B tier decks aren't that far away from these A tier decks. It's just that these will have more consistency in topping, and that's really just the only difference. But these decks are also all pretty good in their own way, and they all do their own stuff. That's also really good. So just something to keep in mind. And then we have the decks that will definitely be showing results that people will be taking up here. So that's just, I just want to let that be known. That's just how I feel. Now again, these are my opinions and what I've so far seen in testing. And like I said, I haven't tested every single little thing in here. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not, you know, expert orange here with like every precise decision being like spot on. These are just personal thoughts. But I think this is a pretty what is C.5? C.5 is just average. It's average decks and decks that I'm not too sure about. C.5 is always just if you notice, it's literally right in the center. We got 3 above and 3 below. We're done. We're done with it. Wow, look at all the names, all the stupid names we've given our tier list. Oranges, predictions for set 7, yen meta with chat. There. It's really fun to see. I'm glad. I think it's really fun to do. Yeah. What the title says. Yeah, download image, save. Thanks for doing tier list time with us. Yeah. I have how many followers? Wow. So many. Thank you guys. Delete this tier list. Bleh. I don't want to look at you anymore. Very interesting video to do later on. Goodness, this is so scary. I like how people are already analyzing this. But the funny thing is people are analyzing this, but it's not even complete. It's not even complete. Like, we only did like, there's only like, all the decks are here. And people are already analyzing it. Y'all are silly. Bye guys, till next time. Have a wonderful night, day, or morning, or middle after the afternoon. I don't know. Time zones are time zones. Bye.